Melissa didn't say goodbye the way she used to. No lingering hug, no second glance, just a half-hearted peck on the forehead and a mumbled, "I'll text you when I get there." She was headed to a weekend photography workshop in North Carolina with a few of her friends. At least, that's what she told me. She'd brought it up during dinner 2 weeks ago, somewhere between her second glass of wine and checking her notifications. I barely looked up from my plate. Melissa signed up for these things all the time. New classes, new groups, new ways to expand. That's what she called it. Expanding. On Friday morning, she left in a rush, pulling a battered green suitcase behind her. As she stepped outside, she cursed under her breath about forgetting her tripod. Odd, considering she was usually obsessed with gear. She didn't go back for it, just shrugged and said, "They'll have backups." The way she looked at me before leaving felt wrong, like she was waiting for me to stop her. I didn't. I asked if she wanted me to walk her out. She waved me off. 10 minutes after she left, my phone buzzed. Subject: "Thank you for your purchase. From Cardinal Spirits, Asheville, North Carolina. 2 premium whiskey tumblers and a bottle of single malt. Delivered same day to a lodge 20 miles from where she said she'd be staying." I stared at the screen, then checked the email address. It was mine. Melissa had used my account again. She'd done it before when her card was maxed out. Still, something felt off. I walked into the kitchen and looked at the counter. Her favorite thermos was still there. So was her backup camera battery. She never forgot those things. It was like she packed fast on purpose. I checked the calendar. Her workshop was listed, but the time block just said off-grid weekend. Nothing else. I didn't jump to conclusions. I just stood there, staring at her empty mug in the sink, lipstick still on the rim. Melissa always said her art needed distance to grow. I just never thought she meant distance from me. By Saturday afternoon, I knew something wasn't right. Melissa was usually glued to her phone, posting sunset photos, tagging obscure cafes, or uploading behind-the-scenes shots from her shoots. But this weekend? Nothing. Not a single post, not even a story. I checked her Instagram again. Still quiet. Then I remembered Dana, her best friend, or at least the one she name-dropped the most when she needed cover. I opened Dana's profile. Took a minute to get past the usual selfies and brunch plates. But then I saw it. A photo. Rooftop patio. Late-night drinks. 4 women, 1 man, and, in the far corner, blurry but unmistakable, Melissa, laughing. Head thrown back, body angled toward the guy next to her like she'd forgotten anyone else existed. He was leaning in too close, touching her arm. His smile was the kind you wear when you think you've already won. No camera bag in sight, no workshop notes on the table, just cocktails, heels, and secrets. I didn't say a word. I didn't comment, didn't text her. I just closed the app and walked into our living room, where her iPad was charging. It wasn't locked. The Spotify app was open. She always forgot to close it. There was a new playlist at the top. Unfiltered Nights, created 2 days ago. The songs were telling. All the wrong places. Lips like liquor. Out of sight, out of mind. Track after track of late-night tension and emotional distance. Not a single song with the kind of hopeful energy she used to love. Then a notification slid across the top of the screen. A message. "Miss your laugh." From someone named Ryan. I sat down and stared at it. No reaction, no panic. I just read it twice and tapped the screen until it went dark. Melissa always said silence was her favorite sound when she was creating. Now I understood. She wasn't chasing quiet for her art. She was just tuning me out. On Sunday morning, I opened her cloud drive. It wasn't the first place I looked. I started with the usual. Email drafts, her photo archive, her calendar. All clean, all curated. Melissa was careful. But this she'd overlooked. She had a shared folder titled Client Shots, filled with organized subfolders from her old gigs. Engagements, product shoots, headshots. I clicked through until I hit one that didn't fit. Reflections, tucked at the bottom, not shared. Inside, 10 photos. Landscapes mostly, mountains, mist, a lakefront cabin. Then one picture stopped me, a mirror selfie. She was wearing a robe, standing in a room I'd never seen before. There were 2 wine glasses on the counter behind her. One of them had lipstick, the other didn't. I pulled up the image metadata. Location, Asheville, North Carolina, time-stamped Friday night. I switched tabs and logged into our shared travel account. She rarely booked under her own login. It was easier to track expenses this way. Sure enough, I found it. Reservation, romantic package, 3 nights. Guest 1, Melissa Carter. Guest 2, Ryan Weston. I stared at the screen, not in shock, not even in anger, just observation, wine pairing, couples massage, private balcony with mountain view. I screenshotted everything, then copied the files into a folder titled Final Draft. I backed it up twice, emailed it to myself. I didn't confront her, didn't call, didn't change the locks. Instead, I made a list. I'd need a storage unit, a bank appointment, a legal consult, and a separate phone plan. Then I closed the laptop and went out back to water the lawn. Melissa had always said the grass was a waste of water. I kept it green anyway. Not for her. For the exit, I hadn't realized I was growing all this time. Melissa came back Tuesday evening 20 minutes later than she said she would. Her hair was straighter than usual, not in the casual ponytail and go way she normally wore it. This was salon straight, deliberate. Her makeup was heavier too, not studio heavy, date night heavy. She walked in humming something under her breath and dropped her bag by the door. "Hey babe," she said like she hadn't just disappeared for 4 days. "How was your weekend?" I smiled politely. "Quiet." She kissed my cheek. I let her. Then she walked straight to the bathroom without unpacking. I stayed in the kitchen, watching the hallway, listening as she turned on the shower for the second time in 30 minutes. When she came back out, wrapped in a towel, I asked, "How was the workshop?" She paused. "Good. Exhausting, but worth it. Dana sends her love." I nodded. "You take any good photos?" "Mostly landscapes. It wasn't that kind of workshop." She didn't ask me any more questions. Didn't ask what I did, if I missed her, nothing. That night, we had pasta. I made it. She barely touched hers. "You're quiet," she said finally. "I'm tired," I said. After dinner, she curled up on the couch and scrolled through her phone, laughing to herself at things she didn't share. I sat across from her and read the same page of a book for an hour, pretending to concentrate. Around midnight, we went to bed. She showered again. I stayed in bed and stared at the ceiling. When she finally climbed in beside me, her phone lit up. A message preview. From Ryan. "Still tasting you." She saw me glance. She tilted the screen away and whispered, "It's nothing." I didn't say a word, just turned to face the other way. For the next 4 days, I moved like a ghost. Mornings stayed the same. Coffee brewing at 6:30, breakfast at 7. Melissa would yawn, kiss my shoulder, and scroll through her notifications like we were still living a normal life. She didn't notice when my closet thinned out. First the button-downs, then the shoes. She didn't ask why my gym bag never came back. She didn't notice the missing framed photo I kept on my desk, the one from Florence where I stood alone by the water, or the watch she gave me 3 birthdays ago. She was too busy pretending everything was fine. I visited a bank on Wednesday, opened a new account, quietly redirected my direct deposit. The next day, I met with a lawyer downtown. No drama, just questions. Asset division, timeline, discrete service. At home, the routine stayed the same. She didn't notice a thing. On Friday morning, I opened a P.O. box 2 towns over, rerouted my personal mail. Melissa walked into the kitchen, barefoot, sipping tea. "You working late tonight?" she asked. "No, why?" She shrugged. "I might grab dinner with Dana, girls' night." "Sounds good," I said. She smiled, like that's all she needed. No suspicion, no hesitation. She thought she had it handled, that whatever this was between her and Ryan could stay hidden, that I would stay planted, predictable, unchanged. She was wrong. I wasn't packing to run. I was preparing to leave nothing behind. My name was still on the lease. My keys still worked. But piece by piece, I was removing the parts of me she'd stopped seeing a long time ago. And she hadn't noticed a single step. She left at 6:15 that evening, dressed sharp, lipstick I hadn't seen in months, that perfume she used to save for holidays. "Heading out," she called from the door. "Don't wait up." I didn't. I watched her drive off, taillights fading down the street. 30 minutes later, I walked upstairs and placed a letter on her pillow. No envelope, no long paragraphs, just a handwritten note. "You already left. I'm just catching up." I locked the front door behind me, dropped my house key into the mailbox slot, and walked to the car I'd parked down the street. No bags, just one duffel. The essentials. I drove across town to the studio rental I'd signed for last week. month-to-month lease, furnished, no questions. Melissa didn't call that night, but at 11:48 p.m., my phone buzzed with a text from her. "Why is your closet half empty?" I didn't respond. The next morning, she followed up. "Did you take the gray Charger too?" Still no mention of the note, or the missing photos, or the fact that half my life had been stripped out of the house we shared. She wasn't asking where I was. She was asking about a charger. That told me everything I needed to know. At noon, I made eggs in a new kitchen, sat at a new table, read an actual newspaper, not my phone. It was quiet, not the kind that makes you feel alone, the kind that makes you feel done. 3 days passed, no calls, no visits, just silence. Then, Thursday night, I got a voicemail. Her voice was tight, trying to sound steady. "Vlad, I know things feel messy right now. I didn't plan for any of this to happen. I was confused. Can we talk? Please." She didn't say Ryan's name, didn't say sorry, didn't mention the lodge or the messages or the wine glasses. The next morning, I ran into someone unexpected. Jerome. We'd met a few times, Melissa's co-worker from the gallery. We crossed paths outside a coffee shop near my new place. "Hey man," he said, then hesitated. "Didn't know you lived around here." "Just moved in," I said. He nodded, then lowered his voice. "So, things with Melissa, that's over." I didn't answer. He looked uncomfortable, shifted his weight. "She told us you got distant, that you kind of shut down." "Right," I said flatly. Jerome sighed. "Look, I probably shouldn't say anything, but I saw her with Ryan. A few times, gallery events, out at that wine bar near Midtown. She wasn't exactly subtle." I nodded. "Thanks." Later that day, I packed a small box. No drama, just the wedding band. I drove back to the house, left the box on the porch, under the mailbox. Inside, a note. "Don't rewrite history, just learn from it." Then I got back in the car and didn't look back. That night, I went to a coffee shop near the river, sat in the corner booth, opened the notebook I hadn't touched in years, the one Melissa gave me for our anniversary, and I started writing again. Not about her, not about us, just about what it feels like when something heavy is finally put down, and you realize your hands were shaking from holding it too long. I didn't write to remember her, I wrote to remember me. It had been 3 weeks since I left. Melissa hadn't called again. No new voicemails, no apology letters, not even a knock at the door. Maybe she finally understood there was no script she could perform her way out of. Or maybe, like most things she lost interest in, she just moved on. I didn't stalk her online. I had nothing to find. But one afternoon, while picking up groceries, I passed her mother, Linda. We used to get along. She always said I was the calm one, the safe one. She blinked when she saw me, then stepped forward, unsure. "She didn't tell me you two were separated," she said softly. I just nodded. "She's not herself," Linda added. "Or maybe she is, and none of us saw it." We stood in silence near the apples. "She still talks like you're coming back," Linda said, a little sad. "But I can tell she knows better now." I looked at her kindly. "I'm not angry anymore." Linda touched my arm. "You deserved more than what she gave you, Vlad." I didn't need to hear it, but it still helped. That night, I sat alone in my new place. No TV, no music, just quiet. I didn't think about what she'd said, or what Melissa might be doing. I didn't scroll through old photos or reread old texts. I just sat there, still, letting the silence be enough. For once, I didn't need anything from the past. Not answers, not closure, just space. I turned off the lights, and finally slept all the way through the night. Thank you for watching.